Why do people who can't wake up to alarms have the most obnoxious ones? Because I almost hit my brother with a frying pan last night because he went to bed 2 hours before me and this guy cannot wake up to an alarm no matter what. But he had 20 alarms set for 6 a.m. So when 6 a.m. came around, guess who woke up? Not him! He just sleeps through it the whole time. And you know what the worst part is? This is his ringtone. Why would you choose that one? Every time it goes off, I think we're getting a tsunami warning in the middle of the night. And somehow, he sleeps right through it every time. I'm gonna throw his phone out the window next time. Matter of fact, I could throw him out the window. He still wouldn't wake up. Why are people flirting in the comment sections of my videos? Like a girl commented on my video, and this guy must have thought that she was cute from her profile picture. So he replied to her and said, "You're cute." And the girl responds back and says, "Thanks." And then he says, "Can I get your number?" And she says, "DM me." Like, get that off my page, man. I was so upset that other people are finding love on my videos, but I can't even do it. So I just deleted the video. So from now on, if anyone flirts with someone in my comment section, you're blocked. You're blocked. Petty doesn't even begin to describe where I'm at now. I can't take it anymore! This is your reminder that you cannot sell your friends. Because I have a buddy who really likes this girl, but she doesn't really like him back yet. Like, he asked her out on a date already, and she said no. So he's trying to figure out what he can do to make her want to go out with him. Lucky for him, she has a friend that does everything with her. So my friend thought it would be a great idea to offer for me to come so we could all go on a double date. Did he ask me if I wanted to do this? No. But do I want to do it? No! So the girl's best friend DM'd me trying to get to know me better before we go on the double date. And she asked me, "Are you excited?" And I was trying to think of a way that I could say, "No, I'm not excited. I don't want to go." But I was nervous and I panicked. So I just made up a lie and said, "I'm not really excited because my last girlfriend just died and I'm still not over her." That's a lie. That never happened. But it was the first excuse that I could think of. So the girl was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I get if it's too soon to go on dates again." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just not ready yet." So I got out of the date. That's good, right? But then my friend hit me up and he said, "Hey, when did you have a girlfriend that passed away?" I didn't! That was a lie! But this is what happens when you put me up for sale, so you shouldn't have done that! Someone put my number on Craigslist saying that I'm selling wheelchairs. So now every day I'm getting calls from old people asking to buy these wheelchairs. So old people are horrible with technology and they don't understand that there's no wheelchairs. So they keep calling me back every day. I don't know if these people just have dementia and they forget that they already called me 20 times or if they're just horrible at using the internet. But either way, they won't stop. So if you see someone selling wheelchairs on Craigslist, it's fake. Don't call the number. Tipping is getting way out of hand because the other day my car broke down on the freeway. So I pulled over to the side and called a tow truck company. By the way, I'm not a cheap person, but there is a time and a place for tipping. So anyways, I called the tow truck company and they sent someone out to me. So the tow truck worker arrives and he has a big beard with big muscles. He's huge, but he seems pretty nice at first. He hooks the car up and then he tells me how much I have to pay. It was like $105. That already almost made me cry, but then I was like, all right, whatever, I'm just gonna pay it. So I paid it and then the tipping option comes up. First of all, I didn't even know that tow truck companies ask for tips, but I was like, all right, whatever, I'll just give him a little tip. So I give him $5. He sees that I give him $5 and he says, "That's it?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Well, it took me 45 minutes to drive here and the total was $105, so $5 is a really small tip." Bro, my car just broke down. How much money do you think I have? So I said, "Sorry, that's all I can afford to give right now." And remember, this guy is huge. He is scary looking. And he just looks back at me and goes, "Whatever, man." But the most terrifying part was that obviously I didn't have a car anymore, so he had to drive me to the place where my car was getting repaired. So I get in his truck and he starts driving to the repair place, and I kid you not, I could feel so much tension in that vehicle. Like, no joke, it felt like at any moment he was just gonna swing at me. But I'm happy to say he got me there without hitting me once. But I don't know what to do anymore. I feel like tipping is getting out of hand. Am I the problem, or do other people feel like this too? You may have done something stupid today, but it wasn't as stupid as what my friend did. My friend was throwing a surprise party for his girlfriend that he's been dating for 6 months. Remember that. And he invited a bunch of their friends over, but when she got there, everyone jumped out and yelled, "Surprise!" But she was super confused. Why was she confused, you may ask? Well, you see, it turns out her birthday wasn't for another 3 months. How did my friend get her birthday that wrong, you may ask? Well, he never actually knew his girlfriend's birthday, but he thought he did. And it turns out that he mixed up his current girlfriend's birthday with his ex-girlfriend's birthday. And you know what the dumbest part was? He told her that. Why would you even admit that? Just don't talk. Don't say anything. There's nothing you can say that will make the situation better. But hey, I still had a free slice of cake, so it was a good day for me. One time I had a crush on this girl, so I slid into her DMs and sent a message saying hello, or at least I thought I did. And I know that's a horrible first message. I got no game. But anyways, when I typed the DM out, apparently it spell checked to hippo, and I sent it without even realizing it. So a couple hours later, I went to go see if she read my message, but it was too late because she already blocked me. There was literally not a worse thing that spell check could have changed it to. But usually I get no response, so her blocking me might actually be progress. There's not many things in life that can embarrass me, except for the one time when I had a fart during a test in school. So right as I'm about to let it rip, I try to cough to cover it up. But the fart ended up being like 5 seconds long, so I just had to keep coughing the whole time. I was like, And I thought I got away with it, but after class ended, one of my friends came up to me and he was like, dude, that was a gnarly fart. And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't fart. And he was like, dude, you do realize that your fart was like way louder than your cough, right? So I asked him if he thought anyone else noticed that I farted, and he was like, yeah, literally everyone in the class noticed. So the next day, I tried to avenge myself by making fart noises in class, hoping that everyone would think that's what I was also doing the day before. But after like 4 minutes of making fart noises, the kid that sits next to me was tired of hearing it, and he was like, dude, we all know you farted yesterday, okay? You don't have to fake fart noises. We all know it was real. We could smell it. When he said they could smell it, I thought about packing my bags and moving to the North Pole and never talking to humans again. I couldn't take that embarrassment, bro. But I got over it, and now I'm happy to say that I own my farts. When I fart in class now, I raise my hand. So if you fart in class, own it. People respect that. People love accountable farters. Every friend group has that one person that they treat like a little kid because they're just not all there in the head. And this friend happens to be me because one time my friend got hit by a car, and you may ask, how does your friend getting hit by a car correlate to you being treated like a little kid? Well, you see, after this happened, my friend got transferred to the hospital and he had a punctured lung, so he couldn't really talk good. And I went to visit him, but I was the only one there at the time because his mom went to go get his food. And the room was super quiet because he couldn't really talk, and I felt like I needed to spark a conversation and make him cheer up. So you know what I said to him? I said, how's your day going? He just got hit by a car, and I asked him how his day was. I don't think it was going good, but that's not even the worst part. After I said that, since he couldn't really talk without being in pain, he just decided to not respond to me at all, and instead he closed his eyes and started shaking his head really aggressively. And I had no idea what he was doing at the time, but a couple weeks later, he was talking to me, and he told me that he was hoping that if he focused hard enough, then when he opened his eyes again, I would just be gone. Honestly, I think that's deserved. I just gotta stop talking. This is your warning to never cry in front of me, because one time my friend came up to me looking super sad, so I asked him what was wrong, and he literally was like, my dog, it passed away yesterday. And I genuinely felt so bad for him. But whenever someone is crying to me, I have no idea what to do, so I just start laughing for some reason. So when he told me his dog passed away, this was literally my reaction. Oh my gosh, dude, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. And after I did this, my friend was like, dude, why are you laughing? That's so messed up. And I was like, I don't know. I can't control it. So just don't cry in front of me. I'm sorry. I'm not the right person to go to. You know how people say the customer is always right? That is absolutely not true. Some customers are just stupid. Because I used to work at a clothing store, and one time a customer came up to me with a shirt in their hand and they said, excuse me, do you have this shirt in a medium? But I checked the tag on the shirt that she gave me and it was a medium, so I was like, oh, actually this is a medium. And she was like, no, it's not, because I wear a size medium and this shirt is way too tight on me. It must be a small. So I was like, whatever, I'll get you another shirt. So I go get her another medium-sized shirt as she asked for, and I give it to her and she tries it on and it's still too tight. So I said to her, ma'am, do you maybe want to try a large shirt on? And then she said, no, I don't want to try a large shirt on. I'm a medium. Your sizes are just all wrong. Ma'am, that is a medium-sized shirt. You're not gonna wanna hear this, but maybe you just gained a few pounds. It's okay, it happens. One time I gained 8 pounds in a day because I ate too many donuts. But I promise you, the shirt is not gaslighting you. It's a medium. And she got so upset when I asked her if she wanted to try a large on that she vowed to never shop there again. And I don't know if she said that because she thought that would make me upset, but I was jumping for joy inside because that meant I wouldn't have to deal with her ever again. But why do they say the customer is always right and not the employee? The employee is the one who works there. They know what they're talking about. A person I went to school with passed away like a year ago, and I was going through a list of the people that I follow, and their name came up. So I'm trying to decide if I should unfollow them or not. I feel like it's messed up to do, but we weren't close or anything. We were just acquaintances. And I know this may sound crazy, but I have a feeling that if I unfollow them, their ghost will haunt me. I know it probably won't happen, but I don't want to take the chance. But like, they're never gonna post again, so do I need to follow them? Also, their account is private, so if I unfollow them, I will never be able to follow them again. What do I do? This is your warning to not text in lowercase, because one time I was texting a girl in lowercase, and I thought it was going really well until she said, why are you texting like that? But I didn't really understand what she meant, so I said, texting like what? And then she said, you're typing in lowercase. That's supposed to be for girls only. And then she stopped talking to me. I'm not gonna lie, I was hurt, but I also had a bunch of respect for her because it was true. Every time I typed in lowercase, I always felt just a little sassy, you know? It didn't feel right. I only did it because everyone else did it, but now I learned my lesson. I'm never typing in lowercase again. Never use flash when you're taking a picture, because one time I was on the bus and there was this guy that was trying to fit his whole fist in his mouth. Don't ask why, I don't know. But he was getting really close to actually fitting it, so I was like, this guy is crazy, I need to record this. But obviously, I didn't want him to see me recording, so I got my phone out and I pretended to take a selfie so he wouldn't be suspicious. But what I didn't know is that my flash was on, so I press record and immediately the light just flashes in this guy's face. And this guy is naturally just kind of crazy looking, you know what I mean? So he quickly turns his head with his eyes wide open and he's like twitching like this. And I'm thinking, this guy's gonna bite me or something. So I panicked and I threw my phone across the bus. And now this is what my phone looks like. I can't even see the time anymore. So I guess that's what I deserve for recording a stranger in public. My bad, bro, but I'm never taking the bus again. Why does having a crush make you become a freak? Because one time I liked this girl and we would FaceTime, but every once in a while she would mute her mic. So I asked, why do you keep muting your mic? But she didn't want to tell me because she said it was embarrassing, but I kept asking her. So she said, fine, I'll tell you. Then she said, I mute my mic every time I have to fart. You know what my response was? I said, oh, don't mute your mic. I want to hear your farts. Bro, why would I say that? I didn't even mean it in a weird way. I just wanted her to be comfortable with me, but I couldn't explain that now. Like, did I actually want to hear her farts? Well, no, but it practically sounded like I was begging to hear them. I just know this is what I looked like to her. Please let me smell them. It's safe to say me and that girl did not work out. Never eat in public, because the other night I was at a restaurant and the people in front of me were taking a selfie, so I was in the background of the picture. But I didn't notice they were taking a picture until the very last second. So if you look back at the photo, it looks like I'm just creepily staring into their camera. So I could literally see the girl look at the photo and then turn back at me like this. But the most embarrassing part is that after this happened, I could still see her phone from where I was sitting. So you wanna know what she did? She made a sticker out of my head on Snapchat. So in someone's camera roll somewhere, there is just a random sticker of my floating head. This is what happens when I go out in public. So yeah, I'm never leaving the house again. Welcome back to oversharing to you guys, because I don't have any friends to overshare to. So I always thought I was gonna want an open casket at my funeral, but I recently found out that that is a horrible idea. Because last month I went to a funeral that had an open casket, and while everyone was super sad and crying, there was a girl that's about 11 years old, and she ran up to the casket and took a selfie with the corpse. Yes, she took a selfie with a deceased body. Now I don't blame her, she's a child, but if you think I'm gonna get caught lacking at my own funeral and let someone take a selfie with me while I can't pose, that's not happening. I get insecure when people take pictures of me when I know it's gonna happen. You think I'm gonna let someone take a picture of me while I can't pose? No. Like, imagine if they get a picture of your bad side. That's so embarrassing. I'm not letting that happen. No one talks about how different cultures have such different expectations for their kids, because one time I was taking a test and I got a 71% on it, and I was pumped because that meant that I passed the test, but the girl next to me was crying. So I said, why are you crying? Did you do bad on the test? And she was like, yeah. So I said, what did you get? She got it 88%. She was crying over that. So I was like, that's a great score. Why are you crying? And she told me that her parents will probably smack her for not getting an A. I was like, damn, you're gonna get smacked for getting an 88%? My parents are probably gonna take me out for ice cream just because I passed the damn thing. But now that I think of it, I see why she's going to an Ivy League school right now and I went to community college. But is anyone else's parents like this? Why do men not know anything about their friends? Like the other day, a girl asked me this question and I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, well, girls know everything about each other, but guys don't even know the most simple information about their friends. And I was like, that's not true. And she was like, oh yeah? Did you know Brian is adopted? And Brian is my friend that I've known for about like 7 years. Like, that's my homie. So I was like, what? No, he's not. And she was like, yeah, he is. And she was like, how did you not know that information? And I was like, I don't know. We mostly just talk about sports and stuff. But now that I think about it, it does make sense finally why he's 3 shades darker than his parents. But I didn't even know he was adopted. Meanwhile, girls know each other's menstrual cycles and stuff. So I guess she was right. But you know what? Tomorrow, I'm gonna ask Brian what his favorite color is, because that's my homie. How do people break up, then say they hate their ex? Because I know so many people who are like, my ex is the worst person on earth. My ex is so ugly. You literally chose to date them. A couple of months ago, you said you loved them. Do you know how much you have to like someone to date them? And now all of a sudden they're ugly? Like, why can't a relationship just end and both people say, oh, we just weren't a good match? Your ex doesn't always have to be the worst person on earth. Personally, I don't think it's a good look when you talk that negative about your ex. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Have you ever heard of someone passing away in such a ridiculous way that you just couldn't take it seriously? Because I knew someone whose grandma was like old. Like if you blew on her, she would probably be finished. So everyone in her life made sure to never make sudden movements around her because they didn't know if that would end her. Well, sadly, it did. Because this poor lady walked into a Bass Pro Shops for the first time, and if you don't know what Bass Pro Shops looks like, there's a bunch of taxidermied animals all over the place. But she did not know that, so when she walked in, she saw a taxidermied lion that looked like it was about to attack her like this. And this lion scared her so much that she had a heart attack on the spot and passed away. It's not funny. It's not funny. Do people actually have foot fetishes? Because someone DM'd me and they said, how much for feet pics? And I thought they were just kidding at first, so I replied back joking too, and I said, I charge per toe. But then they sent me $10 and they said, okay, now you know I'm serious, so how much do you charge per toe? I didn't reply for like a day, and I thought it would just end there. But he kept spamming me and he said, how much do you charge per toe? And I said, wait, are you actually serious? And he said, yeah, I have a foot fetish. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just gonna say a huge dollar amount so that he says no, and then he stops asking me for feet pics. So I said, $500 for feet pics. But he said, okay. So then I had to think for a second. I was like, wait, should I actually send him feet pics if he's gonna give me $500? But I didn't do it because it felt too weird. But I never knew people actually had foot fetishes. I thought it was a joke the whole time. Like, send feet pics? I didn't know that was real. But like, what would you do? Is this weird or am I tripping? Like, should I send the pics? I could use the money. I'm not gonna lie. My brother used to always say that he thought I was autistic, and it kind of makes sense because when I was younger, I used to think that being lactose intolerant meant that you were scared of cows. So when my friend told me that he was lactose intolerant, I thought it would be a great idea to get a cow costume, show up at his house, ring his doorbell, and scare him dressed up as a cow. So that's what I did. I got the cow costume, I rang his doorbell, and he was crying. So I was like, oh my gosh, yes, it worked. I scared him. No. Because right behind him, his sister was also crying. So it turns out that he wasn't crying because I scared him with my costume. He was crying because their dog just passed away. I had to give my condolences to them dressed up as a damn filet mignon. But the worst part was that being lactose intolerant doesn't even mean that you're scared of cows. So do you know how stupid I looked when I tried to explain to them what I was doing? My brother may have just been right. May have. Why is the way women talk so catchy? Like the other day, I was hanging out with my friend and he farted super loud and my response was, "Not you farting." And right as I said that, we both looked at each other like, what just came out of your mouth? Wait, pause. Like I couldn't help it. It's just fun to talk like that. Like there was an even worse situation where we were talking about sports and he was like, "Lakers have no chance this year." And my response was, "Girl." I could tell he just wanted to smack me as hard as he could right there. And I wouldn't blame him, but I don't know how to stop talking like this. Please help me. To everyone who keeps commenting for me to oil up, my family follows me on here, but they don't understand social media at all. So what do you think their reaction is when they go in my comment section and see 500 comments saying, "Oil up, oil up, oil up"? The past 3 nights at dinner, I've had to explain to them what that means. So please stop commenting it. I can't do this anymore. Why is it so hard to understand when a girl is flirting with you? Because one time in school, we had to do a group project, but I didn't have a partner, so this girl came quickly up to me and asked if I wanted to be her partner. So I said, sure, and then she said, great, let's work at my house today. So I went to her house, and when she opened the door, she told me that she was home alone. So we were in the kitchen working on the project, and then she starts putting cherry lip gloss on, and she says, this lip gloss tastes so good. And I was like, oh really? And she's like, yeah, do you want to taste it? You would think it's obvious of what she's trying to do, right? Well, apparently not to me, because my response was, oh, nothing. I'm not that big of a fan of cherries. But after I said that, she was a little bit quiet, and I didn't know why, because I genuinely thought she was just asking if I wanted to try her lip gloss on. But anyways, we keep working on the project, and then out of nowhere, randomly, she asked if I'm looking for a relationship. And I said, yeah, I would love to be in one. Then she says, me too. And I was so stupid that I responded with, damn. Looks like we're both alone. And I laughed after saying this because I still didn't take the hint. But then like 20 minutes later, I leave and I don't think of this interaction ever again. Until the other day when I was at the store and I saw cherry lip gloss and it made me think, why did she ask me if I wanted to try her lip gloss on when she knows I'm a dude? Obviously, I would never wear that because it's red. But then my heart sank and it hit me and I was like, she was flirting with me. And the worst part is that she was a beautiful girl. I just never thought she would want anything to do with me, so I didn't think anything of it. But yeah, it sucks because I'm still alone. Maybe I should hit her up. No, I couldn't do that. Gen Z people should not be doctors because I went to a Gen Z doctor and it was awful. I dislocated my knee and I couldn't walk, so I went to the hospital. And normally at this hospital, there's a bunch of old, angry men that are doctors there and they kind of seem like they hate me, but that's what I like because I trust them. But this time I go inside, they put me into a room and this guy walks in that could be no older than like 25 years old and he goes, "What's up, dog?" And at this point, I'm just thinking, okay, it must be bring your kid to work day or something. So I'm just like, what's up? But then he says, so I'm gonna be the one putting your knee back in place today. My heart sinks because just by looking at this guy, I could tell that he used Quizlet to get through medical school. And my life is in his hands. But then it gets worse because he asks me how I injured my knee. And I say, oh, I did it playing basketball. And he says, yeah, man, basketball can low-key be dangerous. Low-key? Dog, my doctor did not just say low-key. At this point, I just accepted that I'm probably never gonna walk again because this guy's my doctor, but I'm like, all right, whatever, just put my knee back in place. So he asks if I'm ready for him to do it, and I say yes, and he says, okay, on 1, ready? 3, 2, and then he does it on 2. And I scream super loud because it hurt, but I instantly feel better. But you know what he does next? He daps me up. He was actually a pretty chill dude, but I cannot have a doctor that's my age again. But I'm just terrified of any doctor that's close to my age because I know they cheated in school. So I will never go to that hospital again. Sorry, doc, it's not you, it's me. How do people date their friend's sibling? Like when I'm looking at any of my friend's sisters, I feel like I'm looking right at my friend. They have way too many similarities. And if you think your friend doesn't look like their sibling, just look at them when they laugh. I guarantee you'll see the resemblance. So basically, if you kiss your friend's sibling, you're practically kissing your homie. Well, some people like that, but not me. But you are literally attracted to your friend if you date their sibling. And if you say that's not true, you're in denial, buddy. Why do rich people get so defensive when you mention that they're rich? Like I go to school with this kid that everyone knows is really wealthy. And sometimes people will make jokes about it and his response is always like, I'm not even that rich. Like, bro, what are you doing? Because if I was rich and someone tried to make fun of me for it saying, oh, look, there's the rich kid, I'd be like, heck yeah, I'm rich. I'm super rich. I would be flexing on him. Trust me, there's a lot of things that I'm insecure about, but being rich would not be one of them. Do not take my comment section's advice on how to flirt with a girl. Because on another video, I asked the comments to give me advice on how to flirt, and one person said, make a private story with just the girl on it. So I did, and I was excited because I posted a story and I saw that she viewed it. But you know what happened next? She removed herself from it. I didn't even know you could do that. You guys are just trying to embarrass me. I trusted you. Why would you give me this advice? How do people date someone that they don't want to marry? It doesn't make sense. How can you be in a relationship with someone and know that you're not going to marry them? That's such a waste of time. And I've asked people who are in relationships like this why they do it, and they always say something like, oh, I don't want to be alone. Then get a dog. When you need a companion, you get a pet, not a human that you're gonna leave when you're bored. Or another response they'll always have is, I just want to have fun right now. How is it fun being in a relationship with someone when you know it's gonna end? I would be crying the whole time. I don't get it. Why do moms just not answer you when you ask them a question? Because I've asked my mom before if I could go hang out with friends, and she would literally not respond even though she's 3 feet away. So I would ask her again, and then she would be like, I heard you the first time. Well, then why didn't you respond? Or sometimes I'll ask her a question and she'll be like, stop, I'm thinking. And I'll look at her phone and she's literally playing Candy Crush at the same time. Like, you ain't thinking, you're just straight up ignoring me. But the craziest thing was one time I was choking on a piece of sushi, so I was clapping to try to get her attention, and she literally just kept scrolling on her phone. She did not even move a muscle. And don't get me wrong, I have the best mother in the world, but I don't understand why moms do this. I think they're just tired of us, to be honest. Why does everyone have no attention span these days? Like, with how fast-paced everything is now, I can't focus on anything for a long time anymore. Like, for example, the other day, I tried watching a movie and I couldn't get through 5 minutes of it without going on my phone. I thought I was just never gonna be able to enjoy watching TV shows again. But then I found this TV drama on an app called Real Short.
So this is what the app looks like, and it's really easy to use.
Finally made me able to enjoy watching TV shows again because each episode is only 1 minute long. So it's a new type of TV series that's smaller in size, much shorter, and way more fast-paced than normal TV. Like, this episode that I'm watching is about a girl named Summer who paid for her ex-boyfriend's tuition and supported him all the way through school. But after all she's done for him, he left her for a rich lady. So Summer is heartbroken and hurt. So she marries a man she meets on the street. But once you find out who this stranger really is, you'll be shocked like me. Here, I'll show you what the show looks like.
Leave me alone.
Father, whatever you earn,
Me too.
what if?
So you're gonna sell your own daughter to the mom? What kind of father are you?
So if you enjoy short, fast-paced TV shows like every other young person does these days, you'll love Real Short. Never talk to your mailman, because I did one time and now it's so awkward when I see him. Because he came up to my door and I happened to be leaving my house, so we started talking for a couple of minutes and there was no problem until the conversation was ending. And he said, nice talking to you, bye now. And my response was so awkward because right before this, I just told my parents I love them as I was leaving the house, so that was still fresh in my mind. So when the mailman said bye to me, my response was, all right, love you, bye. I didn't mean to say I love you, I said it out of habit, but it's ruined my life now because every time I see the mailman walking in my neighborhood, if he makes eye contact with me, he literally turns around and walks the opposite way, or he makes sure to go on the exact opposite side of the street so we're not close to each other. So I know he's avoiding me. So to my mailman, if you're watching this, please stop avoiding me, bro. It was an accident. I need my mail. Don't ask me for advice on how to talk to girls because my friend did that and now he's not getting a second date because he asked me how to approach this girl that he liked and I was like, just treat her like she's one of your homies. Sounds like good advice, right? Turns out that's really bad advice and he took it way too literal because when we hang out, he would always do this thing where if we were walking by a bush, he would push me into it because he thought it was like the most funny thing ever. And it was, but it's funny because we're close friends. You wouldn't do that to a random stranger, right? Right? Well, he was hanging out with this girl for the first time, so they were still in the stage where you're asking each other what their favorite color is. And they're walking down the street, but he sees a bush coming up, so as she's talking, he just pushes her into it and laughs. Do you know how much of a psychopath he probably looked like to her at that moment? Lucky for him, the girl didn't take it too seriously, and they finished the rest of the date together, but I don't think he's getting a second date. What do you guys think? Is he gonna get one? No, he's not. This is your warning to not be friends with tall people because I used to be friends with someone that was like 6'7", and if you have a friend that's really tall, then you know that they will make fun of your height even if you're not short. Like when I would hang out with him, even though I myself am also above average height, when I was standing next to him, everyone would joke that I was 4'11". Do you know how short 4'11" is? Danny DeVito is 4'11". Also, he would always call me a little munchkin, and I don't know about you, but I am way too insecure to be called that. But the worst part was that sometimes he would use my head as an armrest, and at this point I was like, all right, I can't take this disrespect anymore. I need to do something. And then I had an idea. I'm gonna chop his legs off. I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. But I did seriously think about it. I just don't stand within 10 feet of him anymore. That way, I don't look like an Oompa Loompa. I just can't keep being compared to Danny DeVito. No offense, Mr. DeVito. You seem like a really nice guy. Third wheeling a couple can either be the best experience ever or the worst experience ever because I used to third wheel my friend and his girlfriend and it literally felt like I was their child. I loved it. But when they would argue, it was horrible because they would make me get involved. Like my friend forgot their 1-year anniversary, so she got really angry at him. And then they started arguing with each other, so they asked me for my opinion on the situation. And what am I supposed to say? No matter who I agree with, someone is gonna be mad at me. But the worst part was that when they broke up, I literally felt like I was a child going through divorce. Like after the breakup, she would talk trash about him to me and he would talk trash about her to me. And I was like, you guys know that I'm still friends with both of you, right? Like stop talking bad about each other. Grow up already. You signed the papers already, all right? The divorce is final. Leave me out of it. No one talks about how crazy it is when the two most unexpected people you know start dating, because there's a foreign exchange student at my school who doesn't speak any English, so we have to use a translating website to talk to him. But the other day, I show up to school and I see this kid holding hands with a very pretty cheerleader. And this girl's from Tennessee, like she has a southern accent and everything. So some of my friends and I go up to the foreign exchange student and we say, "What's going on between you two?" And he's been in America for about a year now, so we've taught him some slang. So he just kept responding with, "W Riz, W Riz." When I tell you that I almost shed a tear, I'm not kidding. This man can't even speak English, but he got a girlfriend. I feel like a proud father, man. That's my boy. Why does everything cause cancer these days? Like, someone told me that I needed to start wearing sunscreen or else I would get skin cancer, so I did. But then when I started using the sunscreen, I saw a video talking about how that exact sunscreen causes cancer too. What am I supposed to even do at this point? I'm scared to breathe because I think someone's gonna say that causes cancer. I'm just gonna stay inside my house for the rest of my life. No one talks about how funny it is to see your friends do adult stuff like get a job or start a family, because when I look at that friend, I just remember that that's the same person that lit his hair on fire in high school because he thought hair wasn't flammable. Like, yeah, that's the same guy that works for a law firm now. I can't believe it. Why do people on social media switch up so fast? Like, I remember one creator who literally committed crimes and people started to hate on them, but then like a week later, all the comments were back to just saying how much they love them. Like, they are a felon, and all of a sudden you forgot about that? I swear no one in the comments ever thinks for themselves. They just agree with whatever everyone else is saying. That's probably why I still get comments telling me to oil up. It's the same thing. Please stop doing that, by the way. If you're ever feeling embarrassed, just know that I used to never wear underwear when I was a kid, but this ended up ruining my life. Because one day at school, there was a group of kids going around just pulling everyone's pants down because they thought it was funny. And most people laughed when they did it, but I was terrified because I knew that if they tried to do that to me, everyone would see my willy. So the whole day, I just made sure to be super aware of all my surroundings. But then at recess, I was playing basketball, and as I jumped to shoot the ball, a kid creeps up behind me and pulls my pants down. But the worst part was that since I was jumping as he was pulling my pants, they came like all the way down. It took me a good like 5 seconds to get my pants back up, and everyone could see my private parts for that whole time. But from that moment on, I've worn underwear every day since. I should have switched schools, bruh. Oh, you think your hamster died in a crazy way? Wait till you hear about how mine died. I was playing with my hamster in the living room one day, and the fireplace happened to be on. And also, I have a dog, and this dog gets super jealous whenever I'm holding the hamster. So he's just staring at it. And my hamster loves to bite people, like it's how he shows affection, I think. So he bit me really hard, and I accidentally dropped him for like only 1 second. But in that second, this poor hamster was on the floor, and my dog saw him, so he started chasing after him, and the hamster ran into the fireplace. The poor little guy started screaming, and he was only in there for like a second because I grabbed him out right when I saw what happened, but it was too late. He already passed away. And then when I got him out of the fireplace, I let him cool down on the floor for a second because he was too hot to touch, and my dog started licking him. It's not funny. It's not funny. No one talks about how crazy women's intuition is, because there was a girl at my school that thought her boyfriend was cheating on her, but she had no evidence of it. She just had a gut feeling. So she literally went through a list of all the girls that her boyfriend followed. And she somehow found a random girl's page that she just had a weird suspicion about. So she DM'd her. And apparently that girl was also dating the guy at the same time, and neither of them knew. She just randomly picked the right girl. How did she do that out of the 400 people that he follows, you may ask? I don't know. But that's why you don't cheat on your girlfriend. They will turn into the best detective you've ever seen. Why do guys always take on the personality of their girlfriend? Because I have a friend who just got in his very first relationship, and he's clearly madly in love. Good for him. But the only problem is, I texted him the other day showing him a picture of a new jacket that I got, and his response was, "It's giving Hunger Games." First of all, ow, that hurts my feelings. Second of all, it's giving? When did you start saying that? I don't even think you knew what that phrase meant 3 months ago. Also, when he said this, I still hadn't met his girlfriend at the time. So about a week later, we all go to lunch together and I finally meet her. And this girl asks what I do for work. And after I tell her, she says, "Slay." Right when she said that, I was like, oh, okay, now I see what happens. This man just completely stole his girlfriend's whole personality. But good for him. He's in love. I'm not mad about it. Because if you ask about my love life right now, it's giving lonely. As a white person, when I go to a Mexican restaurant or a French cafe, I take pride in trying to perfectly announce the names of the dishes. Like, I was eating Mexican food the other day, and when the waiter asked me what I wanted, I said, "Can I get a quesadilla y carne, please?" And at these types of food places, the workers are always people that come from that country. So this guy's got like a strong Spanish accent. And after I say that, he just looks at me and I could tell he was disappointed with me. Like, I know he's just thinking, dude, just say quesadilla like all the other white people. But no, I respect other people's cultures. So if they pronounce it quesadilla y carne, I'm gonna say quesadilla y carne. And one day, I'm gonna pronounce it so good that they're gonna think I'm Mexican. One day. Quesadilla! Have you ever done something insane because you had a crush on someone? Because there was a girl that used to be obsessed with me. And I'm not saying that to brag, because this is not the type of girl you want to be obsessed with you. But this girl happened to be really interested in psychology, so she tried to manipulate me psychologically to make me like her. It was like a superpower she had. Like when we were in school, she would wear such a strong perfume that you could smell it whenever she walked into the room. And her plan was to spray the same perfume in my backpack so that when I would get home from school and I would open my backpack to do my homework, my whole house would start to smell like her. And apparently she thought this would make me think about her when I was at home. And then eventually her smell would make me think of being back at home. And she thought that this would make me like her somehow. How do I know this was her plan? Well, one of the days that she tried spraying the perfume in my backpack, I caught her doing it. So I confronted her about it and asked what she was doing. And she explained it all to me. But the scariest part was that she didn't think what she was doing was crazy. Like, she wasn't embarrassed at all. She was smiling when she was telling me her plan. I could tell that she thought I would be impressed with what she was saying instead of thinking that it's psychotic. And don't get me wrong, I was impressed. I respect the dedication, honestly, because I've been delusional about someone like that before too. But she also terrified me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she put a hidden camera in my house and was listening to me right now. If you want to impress a girl, do not pretend to have an accent, because I did that once and it went horribly. So I go to the same coffee shop every day, and one day I see a pretty girl walk in. Perfect hair, perfect teeth. I'm thinking, this is my future wife. And she's there with a friend, and they're just talking like girls do, and I'm trying to listen to the conversation so I can think of something smart to approach her with. And I hear her mention how she thinks British accents are so attractive. Bingo! There's my shot. So I'm thinking, I'm gonna go up to her and pretend that I have a British accent, and she's gonna fall in love, right? It sounds like a great plan in theory, but the only problem is, I've never practiced a British accent before, so I just walk up to her cold turkey, and the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, hello. Yeah, just like that. Hello. Dog, I don't even know if that is British. I was just trying to do my best Millie Bobby Brown impression because I know she's British. And the accent was so incredibly bad that these two girls just look at each other and start laughing. And I could tell they were laughing at me, not with me. So I just left. I don't know what I was thinking either, because if the accent somehow did work and she started to like me, at some point in the relationship, I was gonna have to admit to her that I'm not British. So it was just a stupid idea in general. But now I'm too scared to go back to my favorite coffee shop because I don't want to see them there. Why am I like this? Never tell your barber that you don't like their haircut, because one time I was at a barber shop and the barber literally sliced a dude's ear. Like, his ear started bleeding. It looked like Mike Tyson bit it. But because the guy was so scared to tell the barber that there was a problem, he just told him it was fine and to keep cutting his hair. And I know he was lying because I could literally see him trying to hold back tears during the rest of the haircut. But there was nothing you could have done to make that man tell the barber that he had a problem with the haircut. You just can't do it. I don't know why. You can never tell the barber you don't like their haircut. I think it might be illegal. I used to think there was nothing in the world that could give me the ick until what I saw yesterday. Because I was talking to a girl and she seemed completely normal at first. But then she showed me her dog and I was like, oh, that's a cute dog. There was no problem with it. But then she said, do you want to see my dog's Instagram? And I was like, your dog's got its own Instagram? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, whatever, it's 2024. Dogs have social media now. So I said, yeah, show me the Instagram. And I still didn't have the ick at this point. But when she showed me what the dog's Instagram looked like, I got the ick. It would have a picture of the dog, and then the captions would be worded as if the dog wrote it themselves. Like one of the captions were, got to enjoy a great walk with my mom today. You're telling me the same dog that eats its own poop is writing Instagram captions? No. No. Like, the dog is clearly not writing the captions. Why are we pretending it is? I'm not kidding when I say the hairs on my arms literally stood up when I read that. And the thing is, I didn't know this was an ick that I had, but I know it now. So that's the first ick that I found out that I have, and now I understand why people get them. You just can't control it. You can't. Does anyone else have trauma that's like actually funny? Because I have a fear of garages from a horrible experience I had with one when I was younger. And what happened was I used to play a game where my dad would press the button to close the garage door, and I would wait to see how long I could let the garage close before running under at the last second. So one day I was doing this like always, but for some reason this time I decided to just let the garage door close a little bit more before I tried to sprint under it. And the worst possible thing that could have happened happened. As the garage door got really close to shutting, I tried to sprint under it, but I tripped, so I didn't make it through in time, and the garage door got stuck on my neck. Yes, literally, on my neck. Talk about clumsy. Luckily, it didn't put any pressure on me, but it was pretty funny because my parents were already inside the house, so they didn't know this happened. And all of a sudden, they hear me screaming, so they sprint to the garage, and they see the door literally on my head. My mom said she thought I was decapitated. Anyways, my dad pressed the button to make the garage door back up, and they could see that I was okay. So after I got up, my mom was crying, and she gave me a big hug super tight, and then she got the belt and started spanking me. She was literally crying as she was spanking me with the belt because she was so traumatized, and she was like, this hurts me more than it hurts you. Then stop doing it, Mom! But she didn't, and I deserved it. But anyways, now I'm terrified to walk under garage doors anymore.
রুটি ঠান্ডা গেলা
রুটি ঠান্ডা
ঠান্ডা মানে আব্বা বরফের লাহান ঠান্ডা এটা রুটি
শ্বশুর আব্বা আপনারে আপ্যায়ন করে নাই খাতির যত্ন করে নাই
না আব্বা আমি যে
বিলাই মারার রাত আজকা আজকা যদি তুই ঠিক মতো দামকে দিবার মানুষ বাইরে গেছিস গা নালে বললাম সারা
আর দোস্ত আমাকেও আছে ওগো খানদান আর আমাগো খানদান এক না অদ্ভুত কিছু নিয়ম কানুন পালন করতে যাইয়া তোমার বাড়ি।
তুমি কইতেছোটা কি আমগোর খানদানের পোলাপাইন যদি একবার ঘর জামাই হয়ে যায় গা ওরা তোর খানদানে ফেরত যাবার পারে না।
আমি আব্বা আমারে বুঝামো।
কি বুঝাইবা তুমি?
হয় নাইকা তুমি আমারে বুঝাইতে পারতাম, আমারে মারলা। বুঝছো আমগো বংশে
আজকে এইসব হইতেছে। আব্বা আমি কই যাবো আব্বা, আপনি আমার প্যারা ড্যাডি আব্বা।
এই যে তুই আমার দাঁড়াবি না, দূরে থাক দূরে থাক।
আমি খাটে ঘুমাইছিলাম, আমার লাথি মেরে খাটে হালায় ভাইজান লেটে লেটে সারে ঘুমাইছে।
হারামজাদা মিছে কথা কস্তুর।
বউয়ের সেবা সুন্দর করে না করতে পারলে জামাই পিটানোর রেওয়াজও আছে। আই তুমি কুস্তি পারো?
না
ঠিক ভাইজান, ভাবি ফালতু খানদানে কইলাম আজকে তো আপনার বাসর ভাই।
ফাইনাল ডিসিশন লয়ে লইছি, আজকে রাতে কিন্তু আপনার লগেই ঘুমাবো।
আমার লগে কেন বাজান? আপনি আমার লগে ঘুমাইবেন কেন?
জিন্দেগি তুই এইটা আর পোষাইতে পারবি না বাজার। তোর আমি সাজিয়ে দিতাছি তুই জলদি।
ক্যাচে লাগাইছে।
মা তুই এক কাম কর, জামাই লইয়া শ্বশুর বাড়ি জাগা। ওন মা শ্বশুর
এই তো একেবারে বাঘের বাচ্চা।
ফুদি দে।
আচ্ছা বাঘের মতন যাবি।
ফাইনাল ডিসিশন লয়ে লইছি, আজকে রাতে কিন্তু আপনার লগেই ঘুমাবো।
আমার লগে কেন বাজান? আপনি আমার লগে ঘুমাইবেন কেন?
জিন্দেগি তুই এইটা আর পোষাইতে পারবি না বাজার। তোর আমি সাজিয়ে দিতাছি তুই জলদি।
ক্যাচে লাগাইছে।
মা তুই এক কাম কর, জামাই লইয়া শ্বশুর বাড়ি জাগা। ওন মা শ্বশুর
এই তো একেবারে বাঘের বাচ্চা।
ফুদি দে।
আচ্ছা বাঘের মতন যাবি।
আমি কইতাছি ওখানে খুইলা আসো নালে আমি টাইনা ছিড়া ফেলামু কইলাম।
আমার খানদানি পোশাক তুমি টাইনা ছিঁড়া ফেলাইবা?
আমার ফোন দাও।
নিবারা আমারে কইছো বন্ধুর লগে কথা কও, তুমি তো এঞ্জেল সোনিয়ার লগে কথা কও কি?
তারপর বউরে দিয়ে হাত পাটি পাইছে, এর বাদে বউরে কইছে পানি লয়ে আহো। বউ পানি লয়ে আইছে, এই পানি দিচ্ছে ফালায়া।
আম্মা আব্বা রুডি সুরত দেখছেন? রুডি এরকম তেরে বাগা খেলা, হ্যাঁ রুডি সুন্দর।
আব্বা আমারে না হয় তুমি বুঝাইলা, তুমি তোমার খানদানের কি বুঝাইবা, আমার আত্মীয় স্বজনের কি বুঝাইবা?
আমি দুঃখিত।
বইয়ের হাতে মার খাওয়া চলে, তাই কিছু কই নাইকা।
আমাগোর খানদানে জামাই মারনের নিয়ম নাইকা।
তুই আমার এখান থেকে যাবি না মানে কি? অক্ষণ তুই বেরোবি।
আব্বা
কুইল যে কাপে না
ওই বেটা ওই তোর কইলজা কাপে না মিছা কথা কইতে, হ্যাঁ? হারাম খোর জানি কোনানকার।
মাগার মারামারিতে এক নম্বর।
আমি পারি। এখন মনটা চাইতেছে তোমার কান্দের উপর চড়ায় একটা আসান মারি।
ঠিক আছে ভাইজান, আমার মুখ চুপ বন্ধ থাকবো, আর কেউ আমি কিছু কমু না, মুখে কষ্টি।
এখন লাইনে আইছস।
ওগো কতদিন ধরে তোমার লগে আমি কথা কইতাছি, মাগার
কি করো নাইকা? হ্যাঁ আরো থেকে অনেক পর থেকে কি করতাছো? ফোনের ভিতরে হান্দায় রইছো।
আব্বা তো মা গো মা, আব্বা তো দেখি হেভি পাঙ্খ।
নিশ্চয়ই কোনো ভেজাল আছে। ওই দেখি কার লগে ফিল্ডিং মারতে।
কি আবার সকাল সকাল ঘুম ভালো হইছে, তোমার আব্বার লগে দেখা কইরা এলাম, হাইটটা গেছিলাম, এই ঘটনা।
তুমি রাগ করো না।
রাগ তো তুমি করবা, খারা খারা চায়া দেও।
আমি তো ভাবছি ডাকাত পড়ছে নি।
এই শাহজাহানগর বাড়িতে ডাকাত আইব এমন কোন মায়ালাল পয়দা হইছে নি? তোমার বিছানা আমি ভিজায়া দিছি গা।
এটা তুমি কি করছো?
কি করছি, ঘুমাইবা না?
তোমার পূর্বপুরুষের মাথায় কি সমস্যা ছিল আব্বা?
তোর নাটকের পর কয় কি শুনছো ওই বেটা?
আব্বা জান, আপনার পোলার এখন জিগান তো রুটি গরম না ঠান্ডা?
বাপরে বাপ, শুনছো নি একেবারে ডর দেয় তো বলে খুশি খুশি করে কাটতো হয়েছে। আপনার ডর আপনার পকেটে থুয়া দেন।
খানদানটা আমার কত উচ্চা দেখতে হইব না?
দেখতেছি তো, উঁচা ভি আর লম্বা ভি কুচি কুচি করে না কাইটা ফেলাইছি আব্বা। আমার তো মনে করে যখন ডর দেখাইতে দেখাইতে আমি দেখেন আপনি কি করি। ঘরে আইলাম না, এখন দেন না আসমানে ঠাড়াল্লাহান একেবারে কাঁপাইয়া দিমু।
আচ্ছা, আপনার